Hello, thank you. Sorry, I don't really do this very often, so just bear with me, especially because there's a stopwatch there. Okay, yeah. I'm going to talk about roots and innovation, because that was the topic that was given to me. They're both actually fairly relevant words to what I do, and I'm only going to talk about what I do because that's all I'm qualified to talk about. I'm wearing a nice kurta because I'm a nouveau nationalist like half of this country. That gentleman, anyway. Who am I? So, very briefly, the reason I'm standing here is that I spent many years in MTV destroying young kids' minds. And I left after many years in MTV because I actually got slightly tired of the entire sort of television explosion and this loud, noisy, angry, over-formatted mass sort of popular culture that just churns this stuff out at people regularly. And when we got a chance to, I co-founded 101 India and set up as a sort of just a slight voice of sanity, not very formatted. But the whole purpose was to tell stories about this country, which is so rich in them. I mean, our team has just come back from Kerala, and Kerala is like, if I come back, I want to be Keralite. So, what a place. So, this was just a platform to tell those stories, to tell the stories from what they call the fringe now, but you know, the fringes in India, fringes many, many people, and try and make those stories mainstream, because I think those are the stories that actually are the real India, not the sort of rubbish you see regularly. So 101 India was sort of founded partly as a reaction to noise on mainstream media, and partly as a need to build a new sort of narrative to talk to young people. And that new narrative is not something awe-inspiring, it's just finding interesting people who are doing interesting things. And then the innovation part of it was to actually figure out ways and formats which can reach a millennial audience so they don't think of it as educational and boring. Yeah? So, so what are these stories that we have on 101? We have a man who sings Hindustani ragas in English. It's called English Bandish. It's fantastic. A world-class jazz guitarist. We just had Kathakali on the skates. I want to do a piece on them. A world-class jazz guitarist who recently passed away, tucked away in the bylanes of Calcutta, no one had heard of, but he really was world-class. A midnight ride with an encounter cop, meetings with ex-Dakus in the Chambal, because the Chambal sort of romantic Robin Hood equivalent Sherwood Forest for India. Fairly dark stories when we go to a client and say, yeah, here, they say, no, we don't support this. But it's not about supporting anything, it's about showing a real story. These people are real, we didn't make them up, they're there, they exist. And sometimes when you see a little dark, you understand the light better, or whatever, there's some saying like that. The HIV positive couple who found love again, they were married to respective partners, both their partners died of HIV, they found love again. It's a very inspiring story. And of course, stories of young gay Indians living under Section 377, which is an aberration and an abomination and continues to be part of our law for some reason. We've also had chats to hot movie actresses, a look at a celebrated pulp fiction crime writer, short interviews with hangmen, a piece on two boys in Navi Mumbai who do ballet dancing and have just got a scholarship to go to the States. And also, for example, Chita Doji, the man who spent half his adult life shooting the snow leopard. These fantastic images of the snow leopard, which the world would never have except for this one man who alone, unfunded, trudges up the mountains and takes these pictures. Can we see the main showreel? These are some of the stories. The showreel will give you a sense of it. I'll shut up.
So just close your eyes in jumble. And it's just like so serene.
गैंग में सवार होने के लिए सबसे पहले मर्डर करना पड़ेगा।
अल्लाह भाई वो डरा है, वो मर गया।
पहले मैं सोचता था कि लड़कियां डांस करती हैं, लड़के नहीं। वो बंदा डांस नहीं करना चाहता था और अभी वो डांस के बिना रह नहीं सकता।
एक तरफ से वरदान भी है, एक तरफ से शराब भी है। जब महादेव जी वरदान दिए हैं, एक तरह से तो पुण्य का कार्य है, क्योंकि किसी का भी मुक्त प्राप्त हो रहा तो इससे बड़ा कार्य क्या है।
जो सनातन लोग होते हैं, जो बदलना नहीं चाहते, उनकी प्रतिक्रिया जरा एडवर्स होती है। अरे ये क्या कर रहे हैं, हमारी पूरी जो परंपरा है उसको तोड़ना चाहता है। लेकिन कला जो है वो बदलनी ही चाहिए।
ये इंडस्ट्री ना मेरे लिए भगवान है, क्योंकि इसने मुझे सब कुछ दिया है।
सामने वाला मेरे को ऑफर दे रहा है, किसका ऑफर? पैसों का ऑफर, एक्सपोजर का। तो हम पैसे देखें या एक्सपोजर देखें? पैसे देखेंगे ना।
HIV पॉजिटिव की लाइफ में ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि वो प्यार नहीं कर सकते, या वो घूम नहीं सकते, या वो कुछ काम नहीं कर सकते, सब कुछ कर सकते हैं।
מילדות שאלתי לעצמי שאלות על המקום המרוחק הזה שנקרא קוצ'ין. ידעתי שמשם בעצם הגיעה ההיסטוריה והמסורת התרבותית של המשפחה שלי, ורציתי לראות איך המקום הזה נראה בעצמי.
मैं एक 50 किलोमीटर जाएगा या इधर से तो मैं अजनबी, मैं टूरिस्ट बन जाता हूँ। इवन मुझे कॉलर पकड़ के भी एक क्राउड मुझे सब मिल के आया ना ट्रेन में, तुम ये कंट्री का मेहमान है, तो मेहमान जैसे रहने सीखो।
Section 377 I think is a bit ridiculous. Honestly, I think their issue is the act of sex more than two people of the same sex having a relationship together.
जब मैं 23 एज में आई तब मुझे पता चला कि आई एम वेरी डिफरेंट। मुझे शौक था बचपन से कि हाँ मुझे वुमेन ड्रेस पहनना पसंद है, फ्रॉक पहनना पसंद है, फेमिनिन चीज़ें करना पसंद है, डांस करना पसंद है, मोस्टली पैशन जिसमें मेरा है। तो फिर मैं जब 23 एज में आई तब मुझे लगा कि हाँ मुझे वुमेन बनना है।
The spotting the snow leopard is very difficult because it is very elusive and well camouflaged. Because while we are spotting, he might be looking at us.
So this is our country, and this is what we should be proud about, not the fake nationalism that's poured at us from the small screen with people talking garbage. So where's the innovation in all this? Well, there's not that much, to be honest, because these people exist, and we don't want to color their stories. We don't want to tell them what to say. We're not a reality TV setup yet. So what we do is sometimes we just give them a platform. I think for the coming out stories, I think these are stories that need to be heard. These are ordinary people. These are brothers, sisters, mothers, daughters. And showing them in a family environment, I think, is one way of just visually saying, hello, these are people too. Similarly with things like hip-hop, I think just the platform, when young kids are actually singing about issues that matter to them, it's very important to give them a platform. And all the TV channels do is create their own sense of what hip-hop is, completely missing in any issue because, we can't sponsor issues because people say things, Well, if people don't say things, you'll never change anything. So opposition is the fundamental tenet of democracy. And it's very important to hear this. That's why we have a platform called Voices, which is about people saying different things. I don't agree with half of what they say, but we still give them a platform. We allow them to speak, because that's what we should be doing. Sorry, I get irritated. In terms of the innovation really comes from the formats. When you want to interview the underworld and you do it in the form of a food show and you put a host in it, what you're doing is creating an experience for a young audience. So you as young people, some of you, will follow his journey from his eyes and see the world through his eyes. And I think that's the best way of discovering India, and that's the way what we try to do, because otherwise it becomes education, it becomes, like a class lesson, and yes, Thayyam is beautiful, but, so when you involve a little bit of change, when you bring a girl in who roller skates and does Kathakali, some people may laugh, but I think, we don't care about those people too much. It's very important to try new things, to keep evolving, and to keep our cultural roots intact. And we don't need anyone to tell us what our culture is. Our culture is in front of our noses. How do you focus folk music to a largely disinterested young audience? You have to mix it with something, and layering is the simplest way to do that. Put two things together. Sometimes you may think that it doesn't go, but actually you have to try. Yeah, otherwise what's the point? So you mix hip-hop with ball music, you mix hip-hop with Sufi strains, and you sort of get this.
चलो तुम्हारे आमीने जाए दिल को थाओ चलो break free of the chains, dwell in freedom like a Sufi. Never a slave.
And the geography is very important, because geography is this country, and it's important to see Kashmir in whatever you may feel about what's happening now. It's important to see where the ball singer comes from. So we spend our own money and we send them out because we're funded, so we can spend someone else's money. But it's a critical part of what the brand is. So we don't talk about other parts of the country until we experience it. So it is whatever that experience may be, and the trolls can say what they want, whatever that experience may be, we try and showcase that, because it's part of this wonderful place we live in.
Hi, my name is Harman, and I'm on the journey of a lifetime. We're on a quest to tap the craziest, wackiest, and hopefully dangerous things in India.
It's been a couple of days since I've been learning. It's not easy.
I was clearly the weakest link in the boat. My hands are still trembling, got a cut here. It's pretty hard, man.
How do we experience India? We send the guy to live it. He doesn't talk about the Akhada saying, oh, it's muddy and those guys have got big muscles. He goes and jumps it for a month and he gets beaten up. The boat race in Kerala, it's, I think, the world's biggest boat race. Do we even know about it? Has anyone seen anything? If you're from there, of course. But elsewhere, it's like a blank. It doesn't exist. So we actually got a chance for this guy to actually be part of the team. Obviously, he couldn't because they're trained. They've been doing it all their lives. But he tried, and he failed. That's okay. Similarly, back to the innovation piece, it's important to showcase creativity and creators. I think we're also living in a time when creators, creativity, literary people, they get a fair amount of flack for all kinds of lovely reasons. But I think we as creators have to celebrate creativity, and creativity we have to celebrate from the culture we are born of. And ours is so rich and so diverse. So back to sort of innovation and roots and all that stuff. But I think this last piece I'm going to show you is actually something that is about how we can make a difference. I know a lot of the subjects are about that, but I think in this case it was just a simple film about a German lady who had built a skate park in Madhya Pradesh. The sort of video is a PowerPoint video, which is self-explanatory. But what was interesting was how just a simple piece of content actually became a mini movement. It went from the content, and our social team was smart enough, finally, finally, to send it to the right people, they shipped it out to the world's top skateboarders, and 2 of them picked up the story, amplified it, and even flew down to India to do various things, including set up a water filtration unit.
In India, you have, as far as I know, 700,000 villages. So this project could have taken place in any of these villages. There might be some special challenges here in this area, Bundelkhand, because it's really well known for its way being laid back, and yeah, some people simply call it the wild, wild west of India. And this is what you see here. You know, the situation of the women is, it's a bit tricky. There is a mix of Yadav and Adivasi, strictly separated in the village. There is hardly any electricity here, no sanitation, so it's really very, very laid back. Skateboarding is a very, very attractive sport in many ways. I saw this for the first time 10-15 years ago when we set up a skate park very closely attached to a school in Afghanistan.
So that's it. I mean, roots, because that's what we go back to, and that's the nicest part about where we live. And innovation is just the little bits of innovation that we need, whether it's social amplification, like in the last thing, adding hosts, making the experience more relatable to our young audience, which is millennials, and trying to create an alternative narrative away from some of the stuff that passes as news today. That's it. Thank you.